Hello chess lovers, Soren here, and I have another impressive game for you played by the 8th world chess champion Mikhail Tal. His opponent is Bozidar Gasic and the game was played in 1966 in Sarajevo. Before watching the video, consider subscribing to my channel, also press the bell button in order to get notified about new uploads. In this game, Mikhail Tal had white pieces and he started with e4, c5 by Gasic, Sicilian defense, knight f3, knight c6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4 and g6, black goes for accelerated dragon. By going for this line, black avoids playing d7, d6 so that he can later play d7, d5 straight away, of course if it's possible. Knight c3 by Tal, of course instead of playing knight c3, Mikhail Tal could also go for Maroczy bind, where white's c and e pawns are controlling the d5 square, making it difficult for black to free his position with d5. But in the game after g6 we see knight c3 by Mikhail Tal, bishop g7, bishop e3, knight f6, bishop c4 and queen a5. With this last move, Gasic forces white to abandon the plan of long castling, but commits the black queen at an early stage. Before this game, Tal reached this position in 3 games via slightly different move orders and he won them all. We see castling by both sides, bishop b3, d6, h3, white pawn is taking under control the g4 square, not allowing any knight g4 jumps, and is preparing f4, bishop d7, f4, rook c8, queen f3 and queen h5. Black is offering an early exchange of queens. Of course, this is what you should do when you are playing against Mikhail Tal in order not to allow your opponent to go for a queen sacrifice. But Tal rejected the offer and played queen f2, knight a5, knight e2, b6. The pawn on a7 square was under attack and we see b6 and now comes f5. Tal cuts off the black queen from the queen side. g5. This is virtually forced as black can't allow knight f4. Queen g3. White is attacking the pawn on g5, h6, and an interesting decision by Mikhail Tal, queen h2. Tal places his queen on an unconventional square in order to prepare g2, g4, thus emphasizing the fact that black queen is misplaced. Actually, this is becoming very dangerous. Black has to be careful because one wrong step and black queen can get trapped. We see knight c4. Black is forking the bishop and the pawn, and bishop d4. Mikhail Tal allows knight takes b2. Rook e1. Mikhail Tal is overprotecting the knight on e2 square and is preparing knight d5. But let's have a look. What if knight d5 straight away? Then black can capture on e2. By the way, if a move like knight takes d5, then white can play g4, and then e takes d5, bishop takes d4, knight takes d4. Right now the threat is knight f3, trapping black queen. That's why black should give up his rook, and in the end of the day white has an advantage. But let's have a look. What if after knight d5 black plays queen takes e2? This is a very beautiful line which I would like to share with you. Knight takes e7, king h7, bishop takes b2, knight takes e4, now comes f6, queen e3 check, king h1, rook e8 and knight d5. Now if knight g3 check, then white can go for this beautiful queen sacrifice on g3 and then capture on g7. Right now the threat is knight f6 check. If rook e2, then knight f6 anyways, king g6, bishop takes f7 check, king takes f7, knight h5 discovered check. White is winning back the queen, queen takes f1, rook takes f1. If king g8, then knight f6 check, and then white is also winning the bishop on d7, king g8, c3, though white has a slight advantage, but of course transforming that slight advantage into a victory is going to be extremely difficult. That's why after knight takes b2, Mikhail Tal played rook e1. Here comes knight c4 and knight d5. Tal proceeds with his plan to divert the f6 knight. in order to trap the black queen. Knight takes d5, and here we go g4. Bishop takes d4 check, after which white is gaining advantage. It was better to play queen h4. If bishop f2, then bishop e5. If queen h1, then knight e3. And after white wins the queen on h4 square, black can capture on f1. If bishop f2, then knight d2. What is interesting, the engine evaluates the position as equal. Black has a rook, a pawn, and a knight against white queen. But probably from afar this looked scary, and Gasic played bishop takes d4 check. Now comes knight takes d4, queen h4, and it takes d5. Right now the threat is knight f3. White wants to trap black queen. Knight d5 was played. Black is covering the f3 square, but here Mikhail Tal simply removed the defender and black resigned. Of course, black could still prolong the game by playing rook c3, though after knight f3, rook takes f3, rook takes f3, d takes e5, white can capture on e5. If h5, then rook g3, and looks like that black has no real chance to survive. That's why after rook takes e5, black resigned. Another very impressive game by Mikhail Tal. The way he hid the queen on h2 square and started taunting black queen was very interesting. Thanks for watching. Here are more suggestions for you, and for more games don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in the next video.